Welcome to the CIME program. I have a guest in here, a new guest in here. So, I have more questions for you, man. The first question is talking about education. I think it's education system. Yeah. What's your opinion about this?
Well, education is the foundation of our society. It's the base. What is the importance of education then? That in a society that is progressive, and the education is high quality. And what is high quality education, right? Well, I think it's something where you're constantly observing and questioning, right? Being critical of the world around you. Always discussing things, right? Different ideas. Seeing history and seeing the world in many different perspectives. And education is exactly that, is to learn from the people around us and to learn from the world around us to become better people. No?
It's perfect answer. So, can you introduce yourself for our guys? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Richard Myers, and I am a native of the United States of America. I live in Atlanta, but I have family in many different places in the country. I have family from Washington, D.C., the capital of the country, and family from California and the West Coast. So my family is in many places.
The big family, yeah?
Right. And after I grew up in the United States, I began to travel to different countries to learn languages.
How did you learn this new language? Portuguese, Spanish, French? Because for many people in Brazil, it's very difficult to learn English. But you know Portuguese, French, and another language. So what's the secret, man? What's the secret for everybody learn a new language?
Well, Helton, I'm not sure there's one secret, but I can tell you something. So I began with French, and I learned French in high school in the books, like normal, in a normal class, normal methodology. So I realized that contact is the most important thing with any language you learn, right? And it's not only about reading and writing, but also speaking and listening to people. So if there is a secret, one secret, it's to be around people who speak that language. But Helton, we know that is not always possible, right? To be in another country. So you said, what are the difficulties of learning a language? And I think there's a couple. Not only is it for Portuguese or Brazilians learning English, but for anybody learning any language. I would say the number one thing is confidence. Confidence in yourself. Confidence in yourself speaking the language. And confidence in making mistakes, right? That it is not a perfect, you're not perfect at any point. You are always learning, right?
Step by step, yeah?
Step by step. The next thing I would say is motivation or dedication, right? Is the idea that every day you'll do a little bit, okay? Every single day you try to come in contact with that language. And really the question is this: do you really want to learn or no? You know this, Helton. How did you learn English?
Oh, I'm learning English when I more sacrifice. Yes, I'm focused every day for learning new words. But I'm learning every day. Okay, every day new things. I have I think uh, isn't in this world nothing's very easy. You have more focus, motivation, because I'm learning by myself. Yeah, I watched movies, I'm listening songs, I'm read every day. I think the practice. If you don't learn any language if you don't practice. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The first step for me learning English, I'm motivation. I have more dreams for have a new friends. What more? Discover a new cultures. Yeah, I think it's very important. Very important for me is discovering a new cultures. Yeah,
Exactly, man.
many schools uh, can be offered for everybody, discounts, yeah, uh, and good courses, yeah, the
The
perfect
best
courses,
courses.
yes, and 1 week you the fluent English. Oh my gosh! And I think no, you have learning every day, yeah, have more sacrifice, and you learn, but not in 1 month, in 1 week, in 1 day. Oh, and this formula is a secret formula for you learning English in another language. I think don't exist this, but it's a process. Not today and tomorrow. Oh yeah, yes. In this moment, I'm speak English, not a machine.
Um, and that's actually maybe the main difficulty or the challenge, right? Is to find someone to have a conversation with. And of course, you want to speak with someone who has a good accent too, to hear a native accent. So you can, like a baby, you can imitate, right? Uh, you can catch the sounds, hear the sounds, and repeat them. But you can have a conversation with anybody if they're interested in learning that language too. I know I had friends who were not Brazilian who I was also practicing Portuguese with. Not the best accent, but you can practice. And that's, I think, maybe the main difficulty for Brazilians learning English or for anyone learning any language is that you're sometimes missing somebody to practice, right? And especially in the old days with no internet, it was very difficult. But today we have internet. And so there are many more opportunities that we can speak to each other and practice conversations, have discussions, right? And I think that way, of course, you want to go to the country to speak the language, of course. But you can also learn a language from your home. And I know this because I see someone like Helton here who's done it. I see other friends that I've had do the same thing.
Language school of Brazil uh, have a sequence. Yeah, it's very normal. You into a class and you just listen the teacher, and the teacher just talking in English, and you the first time for you listen the guy speak English, and you the passive. Yes, you just passive. You don't learning. You, oh my gosh, oh no, how are you? I am fine. And when you go to United States or another country, you have natives have these questions. How are you? And you, I am fine. I think no. Yes, it is a different local, a different space. Yeah, and you don't say it's very difficult. into a language school and have a new project for students. Yeah, and the students just 5 years, 7 years, and haven't don't good speaker. Yeah, don't have a good speaker. And you say, how yeah? And the guy, can you speak slower? Because I don't understand you. Yeah. And this guy, these students, more 5 years, 7 years, study English. It's very a problem, I think, in my opinion. It don't have a secret, but I think the language schools take the worst way and give for the student. I think, yeah, talking about the methodology these language schools of Brazil.
Helton, that's a great question, really, because in order for education to be a success, in order for education to work, education needs to be inclusive, right? Education needs to be, the student needs to participate, right? So what happens is, like you said, the teacher in normal schools today, the teacher has all the knowledge. The students have no knowledge.
Yes, perfect, perfect,
That's
perfect
what they say.
example.
And the teacher decides that the students don't know anything. So the students have to sit and listen. And the students only speak when the teacher says, okay, speak, right? But what the teacher does not realize in this case is that the teacher is also learning from the students. The students have the knowledge in their head, lots of knowledge in their head, but they are not given the opportunity to speak what they think. Just like you said, Helton, the idea is that you give them the pieces of language, but the language is not in context very much. You're not talking about something that is your reality, right? It's the reality of somebody who wrote the textbook for you, okay? It's a reality of the teacher that you're listening to, but it's not your reality, right? That's the problem, is that we are, in our education, we're not connecting our reality to the education. And so people become bored or they lose motivation many times because it is not connected to their life very much. And this is what big language schools do, is they create a curriculum, a package, they create a course that they do not necessarily think about you learning the language at the best rate possible. They don't want you to talk about so much why their school teaches you what they teach you. Okay, what material do they use? Okay, who wrote the textbook? Right? Who is your teacher? What are they trying to teach you? We don't think about these questions. For example, when you go to a big school like Wizard or what are some others in Brazil? Red Balloon, no? CCAA, right? Big schools. They're very expensive schools. And I think it's very clear that the people in the schools, the people who own the schools, because the people who own Wizard or own the big schools are not close to the school. They are far away, a big corporation, right? That person does not care very much about your education. It's more about earning money first. First is money, the business, right? First is money in the business. Second is the education. And this is exactly the problem. It needs to be the other way, okay? The most important thing is the education. It's not about being rich. Okay? In fact, the only richness, the only thing that's rich about an education is the wealth of knowledge, no? The prosperity of the mind. Okay, that's rich, not financially rich. That's the problem. We've confused business with education. They're not together, right? Education needs to question business. Why are they doing what they are doing? Why is the business acting this way? Just like the big businesses that give us food, the big businesses that are hotels, the big businesses around the world that provide us clothes, you know, what are those businesses doing, right? To question those businesses. The same thing with a language school. What does that language school want? What is their objective? Is it the same as my objective? Do they say it? Is it really true what they are saying? Because it seems that I have learned, I don't know, 5 years and I'm not getting much better, right? So if my education is the most important, I wouldn't need to pay every time because I need to, the education is what's important. I need to reach this goal before I go to the next one, okay? The same thing with school today and public school, private school a lot, just, or private school more, no? Pay and then go and to the next level. But the focus, right? The focus is not the education. And like I said at the beginning, education is critical thinking, right? It's having a discussion with people. It is seeing many different perspectives and ideas and deciding yourself what you believe. Not somebody else telling you what to believe, right? You understanding who you are, the world around you, where you fit in the world, and understanding the history to understand the present and then to understand the future, where we're going. Because what's most important, once you have a good education, is that enough? No. Because once you have a critical education, you become an actor in your own life and also around your community. Intervention, in a way, where you become an actor. You said too, Helton, you're very passive in the classroom today, right? Very passive, right? And then, oh, you speak for 5 seconds. Okay. No, it needs to be open discussion. For example, tourism. Tourism is basically migration, no? It's a temporary migration, but it is a migration. You're going to a different place. So let's think about the position that people were in when they migrated to a certain place. For example, if I'm teaching English from the United States and I want the student to understand really what it means to come to the United States, it is important that they learn about what's happening here socially and what's happened in the history of this country to understand their arrival, how they will be treated and how they will speak, right? And so it's very important to understand that we connect our experience to the education. And for that example then, instead of talking about tourism in terms of maybe going to Disney or maybe finding like all the schools do, right? You know, what do you say in a park? Or what do you say in a restaurant? Or what do you say when you go to the airport? These are all very important questions, of course, but they can be answered in a different way. We can ask ourselves, what about the different people who migrate to America? What about the indigenous person who was in America? What about the European who came to America? What about the African that came to America? What about the Asian that came to America? What about the, let's say, Latino after countries in America Latina were
To America, yeah?
right
From
away
America.
from European power after colonization, right? What about these people? What is migration like for them? Why did they come in the first place? To understand what migration is, right? Why America is what it is today, a mix of many different things. So, for example, you have maybe these 5 groups, and you decide, or you understand too, there's a man and a woman side of each one too. Different perspectives, right? We need to understand all the different perspectives. Not just the textbook written by a
Yeah.
rich man, probably, in a place, right? Honestly. We need to listen to many different perspectives. So instead of teaching tourism like going to Disney or going shopping, let's think about tourism in terms of migration. Let's think about tourism in terms of where people came from, why they came, and the different reasons why we also travel. Because it's reasons that we travel too today. It's connected. And, the last thing I could say is that it's very important that we understand those things so that we can have discussions about these things. And the language, this is the interesting part, Helton, is when you talk about subjects like this, when you actually have discussions, you're learning the language without even realizing it. It's not like, here is an exercise for 2B. Okay, write 10 sentences with 2B. No. What if you do research, or you look and you have to find a certain person, and you have to tell, where is that person from? Okay, do they have family, brothers and sisters, right? Talk about the life of the person. So you are learning the language, but through context and through actual application, through reality, and this is what's important, is because you learn the past tense. I was, or they were in a certain country. They came to the United States, They lived, they worked, you're learning the past tense. And of course there's clarification, but the important thing is that you read and you learn, and then you have discussions with your classmates and with the teacher. And that's our idea. That's the idea of a beneficial and a good education, right? Is that it allows you to use the language that you're learning. That's the important thing, to express yourself. Because what is language at the end? It is a tool to express yourself and to communicate with people. And thinking that way, that's why it is important to immediately in class begin to have discussions and conversations. I know it's difficult at the beginning, but it comes. It's a process, but you just have to practice. And you can use Portuguese sometimes. Tem algumas palavras que você nascer talvez em inglês, então vai falar um pouco de
Oh my
português.
gosh, what happened?
Mas é
In
assim.
Portuguese. You mix it. Portuguese and English, Italian, Spanish, French. No, my perfect.
But the
Yeah.
important thing, again, is that you're using the language, and that you're actually having conversations and discussions. And that's education, is learning and then discussing. Learning and then discussing, right? And that's our idea. That's different from a normal school today. Very different, because they don't want you necessarily to question their method, okay? But you need to question even the teacher all the time. You need to question the school, right? And that's important.
Method, yes, it's very better than the another skills. Why? Because the students have many ideas about this subject. Suppose why was happened the apartheid in the United States. Who is Martin Luther King? What happened in the past? Or, yeah. And normally schools, no, don't talk about this.
Here's a
Just,
just the name,
yes,
date.
just look, Martin Luther King. Repeat, and everybody, Martin Luther King, Martin Luther. In this case, I think when the students, the actor of the education, I think it's very better. Yeah, because he's try think, oh, what's my opinion about this? In this moment, I'm searching internet, in the books, and another things. But I'm reading, and I think it's very normally you try speak. The principal obstacle for the Brazilians is afraid for wrong in English.
That's
Yeah,
number one, confidence.
yeah.
Got
I
it.
think it's the first because the guy say ha ha and the teacher, how are you? And the guy, who ha how what? Oh, teacher, no, I give up. No. English very difficult. No. I think it's the best way for we we walk and step by step and for we revolutionary this education. And I'm very happy today because it's a pleasure to
Yeah,
talk with you,
absolutely.
Richard. I have you. I don't know with the good expression, but I have you with equals a brother. Repeat this because I consider a good profession, and for me it's a big pleasure for you having this project and help me, and not just help me, but helping around this world. Yeah.
Man, Helton, I just want to say thank you first for coming to me, always as a friend, as a brother, but as someone who is passionate about the same things, about language and about education. And for us to work together on this is a beautiful thing, in my opinion, because we share the same goals. And I think with the students that I've taught, and with the friends that I have too that are also in the language community, it is important that we come together, and we come together and we start to have these discussions and we start to grow together. And this is so important right now, especially in the world where there seems to be a lot of division, is that we come together to talk to each other. And I think this is the perfect way to do that, through a critical language education, in a way. Between countries, like Helton said, this is not just English, this is not just Portuguese or the big languages around the world. The idea is for native speakers of all places around the world to express their ideas, to teach their languages, to teach their ideas, to teach their realities at the end of the day, right? And that's what we're trying to do here, is to stimulate the mind, stimulate our consciousness, and stimulate our communication. And I think it's exciting. It's really exciting that we can continue. And I'm really honored to work with you, Helton, and just to be with you in this project. And I hope that the students see the importance of what we're doing, because I know through my experience how I teach, how I've been teaching in the past, it is a very effective way to learn something, is through context, participation, contribution, and direct discussion and conversation. And that is the direction we are going. And so please join us, because there is a lot to talk about. And thank you again, Helton. I love you, man.
Oh, good. Thanks.